would say that I am an ambivert, a little bit quirky, pretty dorky, love nature and animals. I try to love my plants, but they don't always love me back. Love to read, swim, trail run. The day I was supposed to go with my best friends on a girls' trip to celebrate a birthday, and she called me and said that there were concerns with my chest x-ray. She said there were nodules, and she wanted me to get a CT when I returned. She mentioned the possibility of cancer, but she said it also could be nothing. When my best friend walked in the door to pick me up to go to the airport, the first things out of my mouth the first words out of my mouth were, "I might have cancer," and we're freaking out. My name is Emily. I live in Austin, Texas, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer with an EGFR mutation in September of 2024. In the fall of 2023, I started developing a cough, which I didn't think much of. I live in Austin. The allergies are insane. They're really tough. So I really didn't think much of it. And then when the cough persisted into early 2024, again, didn't think much of it because now we're into cedar season. There was always something. On top of it, I'm pretty active, pretty healthy, so never considered that anything was wrong. Around May, I went to a doctor because I could feel that I had a persistent postnasal drip, which he confirmed. I mentioned a cough, but he didn't seem too concerned. And he prescribed some nasal sprays, sent me on my way. On August 31st was when I realized that something was really wrong. I went for a hike with my partner. And again, it's August, it's super duper hot. But when we were finishing up the hike, which had kind of a decent uphill grade, I couldn't breathe. I was doubled over, could not catch my breath. And this is a hike I've done many, many times. So I was a little bit surprised, as was he. Again, I chalked it up to the heat. But also by then, my voice had already started to change. So I had no, what is that word? Projection. I had no projection in my voice. It was scratchy. Sometimes it would get really high pitched, which I would say a little bit Mickey Mouse-ish. Other times it would get a little deeper in what I've said, an unsexy Demi Moore kind of vibe. And again, I didn't think much of it because I just thought I am coughing a lot. Of course, my voice will change. But come August 31st, when I realized I'm having some difficulty breathing on a hike I do all the time, that became my real first red flag. And then I started noticing little things like getting winded going up my stairs and doing a trail run, super flat, again, having trouble breathing. So that's when I kind of had my freak out moment when I need to go see a doctor about this. I went in thinking she was going to say I have asthma or maybe there's bronchitis, or never in the realm of possibility did I think I was going to have lung cancer. She took everything very, very seriously, sent me in to get a chest x-ray, referred me to an ENT, and and blood tests, of course. I got the chest X-ray that same week, and then she called me the day I was supposed to go with my best friends on a girls' trip to celebrate a birthday. And she called me and said that there were concerns with my chest X-ray. She said there were nodules, and she wanted me to get a CT when I returned. And so when I got back, I got my CT done, and I think it was a Friday. I had my CT, and my PA called me on Sunday. And it's never good news when your PA calls you on a weekend. Um, I was at Starbucks, and I initially almost didn't pick up the call because I was like, I don't know who this is, but um, I'm glad I did. Picked up the call, and I said, she introduced herself, and I said, do I need to sit down? And she said, yes, I think you need to sit down. So she explained that the nodules were indeed cancerous. I, of course, have a bajillion questions, and she rightfully said, I'm not an oncologist. I can't talk about staging. She did give me her personal cell phone number for support. But she said, I am referring you out to Texas Oncology. So I called my sister on the way home, and because at that time I hadn't told anybody really other than my two best friends that I was going on this trip with. So I called my sister on my way home, went straight to another best friend's house, kind of banged on her door and said, let me in. Like, I need you. And so we just held each other and just sobbed. And it was that was a rough day. That same best friend, she took me to my appointment, and my oncologist explained that yes, this was stage 4. It had metastasized to other parts of my body. I found out later where exactly it all went. There were quite a few places. One thing she indicated was that I had a spot on my 8th rib bone on my right side, which explained why over the summer, like before September, I apparently had fractured it, and I had no idea. I thought it was an intercostal rib strain. I would have no reason to think I would have fractured a rib. But she explained that, and I went, oh, well, that explains why I was in so much pain there. She also said, she explained that she suspected that this was due to an EGFR mutation, because I went into it going, how can I have lung cancer? I'm a non-smoker. I'm 45 years old. Like, I'm active. I'm healthy. What? What? And she explained that I perfectly fit the demographic of EGFR lung cancer. And at that point, this is now end of September, last week of September. At that point, I still hadn't had any biopsies. So she had me admitted to the hospital. And I was there for about, I think, 5 days, running a bunch of tests, biopsies, lung biopsy. They did They checked out my pancreas. Um, I think I had another MRI. That week was kind of a blur. The primary was my left lung. I had innumerable small nodules in my right lung. It had also spread to the rib, I mentioned, sacrum, pancreas, and a tiny spot on my brain. I knew absolutely nothing. Nothing. Because in my head, lung cancer was for smokers. So once she mentioned that, I, of course, started Googling everything I could about EGFR. And it came down to I obviously asked the question, why me, or what could I have done differently, or anything of that sort. And it just came down to it's bad luck. Um, had I known that a chronic cough was a symptom, I would have gone to the doctor post haste. And that's where I have started speaking out about this type of lung cancer, because I got the sense that it wasn't well known, especially in the Asian community. At the time, I did not join any support groups. I thought about it, but I thought it would be way too overwhelming, because initially it was just all too much. Try not to cry. My my boys are teenagers now, 13 and 15. But um, at the time, they they were 12 and 14, right? Just last year. Um, but a lot of the information initially, especially before my first appointment with my oncologist, was very grim. So that 2 week space where I had no idea what to do. I just knew I had stage 4 cancer. Um, I wanted to be as open and honest with my kids as possible. I didn't want to hide anything from them, so I was very, very real and honest and said, "This is scary. I don't know what's going to happen." Because the worst thing that could happen is something bad happening to you guys. The second worst thing is me leaving you too soon. And I was worried that I would not even see my youngest son graduate high school. Like, they're still babies. They're not full-fledged adults. I was not ready to leave them. She mentioned targeted therapy, that there was a particular drug that worked very well with this type of cancer. And I could simply use this drug. However, it's a little bit slow acting. So she mentioned if I wanted to be more aggressive, I could do chemo. And we discussed the pros and cons of both. And I went, you know what? I want to fight this as hard as I can. And I decided to take the aggressive approach and start chemo, uh, which was in November. Um, After I made that decision, she agreed with it. She she let me drive that discussion and the decision, and afterwards she said that's what I would have chosen for you as well. So I started the drug and chemo on the same day. I had 4 rounds of chemo between November and January. And after my PET scan in January, I received really good news, and she told me I wouldn't need chemo anymore. And so I went back to work, and I think the same week I went back to work, I received word that they actually, after discussion with a radiation oncologist, the two of them decided that it would be beneficial for me to also do a couple rounds of radiation.
I'm radioactive right now.
Mm-hmm. See?
This particular drug I need to take at the same time every day. So I take it between 10 and 10:30 every morning. And I have been very, very lucky that I really haven't had a lot of side effects with the drug itself. I definitely felt them with chemo. The drug itself has been fine. I really don't feel much of a difference myself. I actually feel great right now. um, but I kind of wake up, kind of hang out, take my drug, and just go about my day. The big side effect I had was joint pain, actually. I felt it mostly in my fingers and my knees, occasionally my hips. It kind of varied from time to time, but mostly my knees and my fingers, which I also wondered, coupled with perimenopause, like it was a double whammy. I did talk to my oncologist about that though, and she recommended that I go on a supplement. And ever since I've been on that supplement, which I just get from Amazon, like I feel great. That supplement has been counteracting the joint pain. My oncologist did say she would be open to clinical trials for me. It would just have to be the right one. So, as far as I know, we have not discussed it since, which tells me she has not seen the right one come through. She would want something that has gone through a round or two before getting me in, because she does not want me to be one of the first round folks being a guinea pig, which I appreciate. So, a piece of that is why I am in therapy now, because the closer I got to feeling better, the more anxious I became. So, being stage 4 and knowing I'm on this drug until it stops working, or until I die, basically. But also knowing that being stage 4, I expect it to come back. Um, I'm in a very, very good place right now. So the way I understood my last appointment, I'm as healthy as I can be right now. But it will come back. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of when. So it's waiting for that other shoe to drop that brought me so much anxiety, going like, okay, I feel really great right now. How long am I going to feel great before it creeps up again, before the drug stops working? Is it 5 years, 2 years, 20 years? Having that loom over my head is what was so unnerving. And so I keep practicing mindfulness in that regard, like talking to my therapist about it, trying to stay within the moment. Because I also tell myself every single day that tomorrow is not guaranteed for anybody, regardless of how healthy they are. I think I went through life imagining this beautiful future, growing super old with my partner, um, becoming a grandma, hopefully. um, I had to come to grips with this idea that okay, I could get in a car crash tomorrow, but this idea that what I had planned for my own future may not happen. I have come to accept that if I get to be 65 years old, I will be lucky. I will be lucky if I live long enough to become a grandmother. Because that's all I want right now. I just want to get promoted to grandma. Um, and it before it was just an automatic thing. Like, oh, well, I'll be here till my kids grow old, and I'm going to help take care of their kids, and I get to, love on my future grandchildren. And I went, that may not happen for me. And so it's appreciating what I have now, as cheesy as it sounds, enjoying the moment, um, appreciating every single day for what it is. I have been through some other hardships recently, but being able to just travel and see old friends is a blessing, even if the reason isn't great. Um, Being able to pet my dogs, being able to wake up in a bed, right? Like all the simple things that I am still able to do while I can do them. So, but on the flip side, also, life is too short to put up with a bunch of crap. So it's also saying, you know what? I'm not dealing with that. I'm out. It's and not living in that space, just kind of letting things go. My oncologist told me at my first appointment that stage 4, especially with EGFR related lung cancer, is not an absolute death sentence. She told me repeatedly it is incurable, but it is treatable. So I do feel like I'm living proof of that. I did not expect to be in such a good place in such a short time. I thought I would still be struggling with this diagnosis, with my treatments. Like, I was diagnosed in September, and here we are less than a year later, and I'm basically in remission. And what? It is a tough pill to swallow, but there's hope. And I was also told repeatedly, lung cancer research is always evolving, and it's a great time right now, and we just need to make it to the next breakthrough. So even the drug that I'm on now didn't exist 5-10 years ago, whatever it was, but that's a recent-ish medical breakthrough. We just got to keep making it to the next one. And as cheesy as it is, trying to stay positive, because that mindset it's everything. Could we lie in bed and cry, just feeling sorry for ourselves? Absolutely. But that doesn't help the body, doesn't help the mind. And so I think just trying to stay positive, enjoying the life we have now, and knowing that there's still hope for a life post-diagnosis. I think that is I think that's the takeaway for me. Like, my life expectancy is shorter, much shorter. I thought I was only, in my midlife at this point. I'm only 47. Oh, I just aged myself up. I'm only 46 years old, turning 47 soon. So I just envisioned this life till I was like 80 something, and it undoubtedly will be cut short. But that's okay, because I'm, when I think about perspective, at least I can see my kids hopefully into adulthood, which not everybody can. At least I can enjoy the life I have now as much as possible.